Hey, welcome back to the channel. Sorry for the video quality, I'm just using my desktop camera for this really quick, because this was just a last minute idea that I had and I just wanted to share my experience with it. And as you already know from the title of the video, I thought it would be a great idea to build my comic backgrounds in Blender. This isn't an original idea of mine. There's a lot of webtoon comic artists that use Clip Studio Paint, I think. And I think that there are like 3D assets on there that you can lay out and construct backgrounds with. I unfortunately use Adobe for all of my drawing, and so I had to figure out a different way of doing it because I am not buying another art program. I am not made of money. So I decided to use free programs like Blender, and I figured that it wouldn't be that hard to learn how to use it, and I was very wrong. I had a pretty deep learning curve, but it sort of worked out in the end. I'm going to show you the process that I went through of trying to teach myself, and I'll show you the finished product, and you can let me know what you think down in the comments. I've always wanted to make a webcomic, Pine Tea with Honeyed Memories. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check it out. But I figured that if I was going to make it myself, I needed a way to streamline this, and this was my big idea for trying to do that. With all of that said, let's just get started. Okay, I just want to record this quick aside before I actually get started on this project. I haven't done anything yet, so this is literally the start, and I just wanted to show like the quick sketch that I made for my layout. I don't know if I want to keep it isometric. I'm also not sure if this is going to be too much to have all in one file, like 2 floors. Like, I don't know if my computer can handle that, so we'll see how that goes. If I have to, I'll split it up into 2 different files. It was very slow going at first. I kept forgetting any of the hotkeys. I had fast forwarded through a tutorial really fast and did not absorb any of it. So it was taking me forever to get objects positioned where I wanted them to. And I was also streaming this at the same time, and I was constantly asking for help from the people in my chat who were a little more familiar with 3D modeling. Yeah, I put the, that's what I'm saying, like, it's working for this object, but I don't understand why I can't get it to work for this one. Oh, now it's working. Oh my lord. I don't know why it was suddenly different, but thank you, I guess. I was seriously struggling so much. I kept hitting hotkeys and not understanding why my viewpoint would suddenly change or why I was in a different mode that I wasn't supposed to be in. It took me forever just to make a damn table. It was hard, and I'm pretty sure that I had deleted most of the assets that I had made in the kitchen at first, just because I had realized that so many of the mistakes I had made was causing a lot of issues later with how I wanted to move them around. I realized I wasn't going to get very far if I didn't practice the basics, so about 4 hours in, I had just decided to call it quits and dedicate the next day to learning some kind of tutorial to help me speed this up. But yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna do for now. Might look into some more tutorials, clean up like a couple other things, and probably stream a little bit more of this tomorrow. Which I didn't even get to stream doing more of my church because the next day I decided to spend hours doing the freaking donut tutorial. I thought this one would be pretty easy to learn, but I started making mistakes left and right. Oh, I fucked up my donut. Shit. Alright, just gonna have to start over. This ate up a couple more hours of my time, but I figured that it was useful to repeat the basics at least. I thought it was going to be smooth sailing after this until I encountered my next problem. Oh no. For some reason, Blender could not use my graphics card for rendering. Maybe it's because I have a Radeon graphics card and it only uses NVIDIA. I don't know. I'm not a tech wizard. But I figured I don't need hyper-realistic graphics anyway, so I wasn't going to worry about it. The tutorial got to the geometry nodes, and I probably could have just skipped this part. It's so complicated, and I haven't used the geometry nodes since I've done the tutorial, and when I was trying to learn this, it was really cooking my brain. Safe to say, I will never be a programmer. I decided to skip the last part of the tutorial about animating and adding other special effects. It wasn't anything that I needed for making my backgrounds, and I already spent a long time on the rest of this. Messing around with the camera was enough. It didn't feel very intuitive, so I didn't want to mess with it. But I figured I had the practice in, and going back to making my backgrounds was going to be a lot easier. And it was. I was able to do slightly more complicated things like making the spiral staircase. I was able to make archways, and I even got a little fancy and made my own church pews for the upper half of the church. I had a better understanding of viewing my 3D model through the different viewpoints of the axes, and so it was really helpful in trying to improve the layout of the church above the ground floor of the living space. After 30 hours, this is my church. I have most of what I want for the interior done here. Probably need to add a few more walls. And then I have the lower floor down here in the bottom with my spiral staircase, my completed kitchen, a little living room. Still working a little bit on the other rooms, but I don't need them yet. And this was pretty useful so far. I've done a little bit of drawing and referencing already, so it's serving the purpose that I aimed for. The other free program that I use is Storyboarder, and I'm going to show you how these 3D models look in that program. I export these as GITFs. I don't know if there might be a better file type for Storyboarder, but I think GITF is the only one that it can use. And this is Storyboarder. It's obviously for storyboarding, but you can use it for comics or anything else for scene changes. I like using this for my comic layouts because it helps me brainstorm and get through a lot more ideas quicker, and it has a shot generator so I can play around with how I want a scene to look, so it's very helpful. This is one of my shots, and if you go over here to the shot generator, it opens it up into this sort of exploratory mode. You can place multiple cameras, which is what these hot pink boxes are, and I can change the camera around as much as I want. You could use a shot explorer to check out different angles for whatever subject that you're focusing on. Here's the kitchen that I made in Blender, and how I import it into the program is that I look under the properties and then click here to select any file, and you can change it between anything that you've made before. I think it would be very interesting to make my characters in Blender and see how that goes. So yeah, that's it. It only took about 30 hours of work. If you already have Clip Studio Paint and you make comics, or if you want layouts for your backgrounds, you should probably just use those 3D assets. because this was a lot of time to dedicate to this. I honestly wasn't expecting it. Kinda don't recommend unless you're in it for the long haul. I did achieve what I was setting out to do. I made my backgrounds, made it a lot easier to plan out how I wanted my comic panels to look. So, I guess it just depends on if you want to learn a new skill, or if you already know Blender, then it's a pretty good avenue to take. That's it for this video. If there's anything else you want to see, maybe a tutorial of storyboarder, or I could give you a tour of my workspace, feel free to leave me a comment. But do the thing, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.